You ever find yourself in one of those conversations where you just know you're right? I mean, you've got all the facts, the logic is flawless, but the more you push, the further away the other person seems to get. Well, this week, we're diving into a really powerful idea from Papa's wisdom that gets to the heart of why that happens and how a little faith might just be the secret to finally being heard. It's such a familiar and honestly a super frustrating feeling, right? You're in a debate, you're laying out your points one by one perfectly, and you can just watch the other person's heels dig in even deeper. It's like you can physically feel a wall going up between you. The harder you try, the less they seem to listen. You know, there's actually a name for this experience. It's called the persuasion paradox. It's this totally counterintuitive idea that the harder we push our point of view, the more the other person resists. The very act of trying to win the argument is exactly what causes us to lose it. And there's some pretty solid psychology behind this. It's called reactance theory. The idea is actually pretty simple. When we feel like our freedom to think or choose is being threatened, our brain has this knee-jerk reaction. It wants to do the opposite of whatever is being pushed on us. It's basically a built-in defense mechanism for our own autonomy. So, what this all points to is something really crucial. We often fail to persuade people not because our ideas are bad, but because we are showing up with the completely wrong tools for the job. It's kind of like trying to perform delicate surgery with a sledgehammer. And this table really lays out the different toolkits we have. On one side, you have argumentation. That's all about logic, facts, data, proving something is valid. But on the other side, you have persuasion, and that's about connection. It's about appealing to someone's emotions, their values, their core beliefs. So often, we reach for the logic hammer when what the moment really calls for is the art of persuasion. Let's think of it this way. Using just logic and facts is like trying to knock down a brick wall with your bare hands. You might make a dent, but you're going to create a whole lot of dust and resistance. Connection, though, that's like building a bridge over the wall. It's not about destroying their viewpoint. It's about finding a path to a shared place. Okay, so if we put down the hammer, what do we pick up instead? This is where Papa's wisdom points us toward a really powerful tool. And it's all about active listening. As he puts it, active listening is a gift you give to someone else. And that one idea just completely shifts the focus from speaking to hearing. And let's be clear, active listening is way more than just being quiet while you wait for your turn to talk. It's a genuine skill. It means giving someone your complete focus, trying to understand not just their words, but the feeling behind them. And then, and this is key, showing them that you've heard them. The benefits of doing this are just massive. I mean, when people feel truly heard, it builds incredible relationships. It creates what psychologists call psychological safety, where people feel safe to be themselves. And that just melts away defensiveness and conflict. When people feel respected, they open up, and you can have a real, honest conversation. So how do we actually start doing this? Well, here are 3 really simple steps. First, learn to embrace silence. You don't have to fill every single pause. Let their words land. Second, act like a mirror. Just paraphrase what you heard them say. Something like, okay, so it sounds like you're feeling, it confirms you're on the same page. And third, ask open questions. Instead of yes or no questions, ask things like, wow, can you tell me more about that? Invite a story. But here's where this whole idea goes from just a communication hack to something much deeper. Active listening isn't just a technique you can check off a list. At its core, it's really a matter of the heart. Papa's wisdom connects this idea to a deeper spiritual principle, pulling a quote from the Gospel of Luke. "Blessed, rather, are those who hear the word of God and obey it." Now, this elevates listening from just a skill to an act of faith and humility. It's about a willingness to truly receive something from outside yourself. And as Papa says, true persuasion isn't about having the sharpest arguments. It requires having a heart to hear. It means you're not just quietly reloading your own arguments while the other person is talking. You're humbly, genuinely creating a space to receive what they're trying to give you. And that really gets to the absolute core of it all. It's about making a conscious choice, choosing connection over the need for correction. It's about letting go of that ego-driven need to be right and instead prioritizing the bridge you're building to another person. So let's wrap this up. What are the big things to take away today? First, remember the persuasion paradox. Pushing harder just builds a bigger wall. Second, real persuasion is built on connection and empathy, not just cold, hard facts. And finally, remember that listening is so much more than a skill. It's about having what Papa calls a heart to hear. Which really just leaves us with one last question to think about in our own lives. Is being right more important than being connected? And are we listening to actually understand, or are we just waiting for our next turn to speak?